Good morning, YouTube. Hopefully you are all good and doing well as always. It is Saturday, the 4th of July, 2026, and things are getting serious now. It is 2 days out from the photo shoot. So in the most recent video, I would have shown you through this week, the sort of start of peak week, as of Wednesday to Friday, and I also discussed what I did on Monday and Tuesday as well. So if you haven't watched that already, you can watch that here so that you can get up to date with where we currently are and what I've currently done up to this point in time. But as I say, this is where the sort of final changes, the final touches and everything are going to be made to make sure that I'm looking the best that I possibly can do for the photo shoot. And instead of boring you and going through the exact same things as I've been through in the previous video, obviously you can watch that if you haven't already. But today it is going to be a case of continuing to carb up again. Very happy with how things are progressing over the course of this week. Towards the start of the week, I was relatively flat. Woken up this morning, sent my video and my photos through to my coach. We're happy with how everything is looking, so that is very good. And today's targets are going to be 450 grams worth of carbohydrates, 169 grams of protein and 45 grams of fat, I believe. I think that is the case. And then also, I'm going to be doing a pump session within the gym and also only 8K steps because we're keeping those relatively low so that fatigue is relatively low. Well, that's actually been one of the hardest things over the last couple of days, doing less steps, because I'm used to doing, say, like 12, 15K. So that's been a little bit of a challenge. But because of the decent-ish amount of food that I've got to eat today, this is sort of like, in comparison to say like prime bulking days, I can easily do this in terms of like the food that I've got to eat. But because I have got to eat more than what I've been used to, I woke up at sort of like 6:30. I've just eaten my first meal of the day, which was my 75 grams of cream of rice with a scoop of protein powder, so 40 grams of whey as well. I've just had that, and I'm going to be having medjool dates, 100 grams worth of medjool dates. Got these from M&S, very excited to be having them. Dates are sort of like a new obsession of mine, but I'm purposely having this sort of like 90 minutes prior to training because I'm going to be eating a little bit more food. I don't want to be sort of too full of food and then not really get a pump or whatever, because the aim of today's session is to really sort of like try and get a decent pump, look good sort of post-workout, go into the posing room, show you obviously how I'm looking, and I should hopefully be nice and happy with how things are. Prior to working out, I'm actually going to shave my body. I'm not a very hairy man anyway, but I'm going to shave my arms and shave my legs because I'm going to be tanning tomorrow, and I want to give myself, like, I want to give myself plenty of time to like sort of prepare my skin for then doing the fake tan tomorrow, which is going to be fun. That was an absolute mission. Esdog and I have just shaved my legs, my arms. We just need to do my armpits a little bit later on, but we've run out of hot water. So we're going to leave it for a little bit. And because it is actually now 9:30, so it's taken longer than what I thought it was going to for shaving, I'm going to have my next pre-workout meal. It was actually going to be my post-workout meal, but now it's going to have to be a pre-workout meal. So as usual, it's going to be the overnight oats. I'm also going to have a couple of dates as well, and then I'm going to leave it probably another 90 minutes before actually going to train, so that, as I say, I have enough time to digest it and can actually get like a decent pump within the session itself. White or Lewis Hamilton, what do we reckon?
White. Wait, can you show this?
Ooh. Where's that from?
Publix.
What, in Tampa?
Yeah.
In Florida?
It is the best. May I have a sip?
Of course.
Thank you.
Arrived at the gym. I'm sufficiently caffeinated up. I found that I wanted to train at like mid-morning, but as mentioned, had to obviously shave for tomorrow. And I found that I was really cold for ages, and that would be affecting the pump side of things and any ability to get one. So that ate my next meal, which was my overnight oats and 2 more dates. And because of the amount of fibre all within one meal, it felt like it just took a very long time to sort of really digest it all. As a result, I felt quite heavy for like at least an hour or so. It's subsided now and I need to sort of get training done. So I'm going to be training. I do feel much more comfortable than I did, but as I say, like the amount of fibre all at once certainly meant that digestion was a little bit slower. But anyway, gonna go and train upper body. Looking forward to it. And looking forward to seeing how I'm looking as well. The gym session was solid. I was going to talk to you whilst I was at the gym. However, it was very busy today. It was quite loud because it was a Saturday and I thought the audio quality wouldn't really be the best. So I'm going to show you what the session looked like on this part of the screen. But today's session was like an upper body pump session. So wasn't exactly sort of giving it the beans. I was leaving a few reps in reserve on each exercise. And because of the fact that it was quite busy, I also couldn't quite follow my plan to the exact extent to what I would normally do. So the exercises were a little bit different from normal, but the aim of the game really was just to, as I say, get a little bit of a pump and get a good idea of sort of how I'm looking at this moment in time. I was also sort of trying to avoid really sort of doing any damage to the muscles in terms of like actually working them out for muscle gain, if that makes sense. But in terms of how I'm looking, very happy. So much better than what I was towards the start of the week. Like my upper body, my whole body has just filled out an awful lot. With having a lot more carbs over the last few days, I do feel a little bit more sort of like watery and a little bit less veiny, but I am very happy with how things are looking. And tonight and also tomorrow as well, the aim of the game really is going to be to sort of preserve the look in terms of say like the fullness side of things, but we are going to be looking at sort of trying to get rid of any of that excess water that's occurred over the course of the last few days that I'm holding on to at the moment. We're basically going to try and get rid of so that I'm as full as possible, but also as vascular as possible for the actual shoot itself. And obviously with the shoot, I'm going to also be tanned, so that's also going to add to the look a little bit as well. But as I say, happy with the position without a doubt. But I've come home and I've eaten my next meal already because I was very, very hungry. So that was sort of like half the amount of turkey mince that I'm going to be having over the course of the day with some veg, with a bag of golden vegetable rice, and then also half a golden yolk egg as well for a little bit of fat. And I also put some Himalayan salt on it like I normally would because I'm keeping salt exactly the same as normal and hydration the exact same as normal as well for today. And now I have actually got these to have 100 grams of super mix. So I had the squashies yesterday whilst I was at work. I'm going to weigh this out to be 100 grams and I'm just going to sort of graze upon this. I've still got more foods to eat today, which I'm going to show you. And I've also got something to take called PeakMax, which is like a natural diuretic. So starting the process of basically trying to get that excess water off today as well. But as you can see, I'm also dressed because I'm going to be going to the pub with my mates, just going to be having like 0 sugar lemonades like I normally would do, but I'm going to have to eat my meals around it, so probably not going to be out with them for as long as they are all going to be. I'm going to have these before I go, and then I'm probably also going to have my blueberries and my pineapple before I go with my PeakMax, because I've got to take 2 capsules of that. And then when I come back, I'll have my last meal of the day, where I'll then also have my 2 capsules of PeakMax. That's then the food done for today. Check in tomorrow morning, see what my coach wants me to do in terms of a macro side of things, and then go from there. Good morning, guys. Hopefully you are all good on this Sunday morning. It is Sunday the 5th of July. I'd imagine some people are a little bit hungover this morning, especially some of my mates who I was at the pub with last night. Some of them were quite tipsy by the time that I left. I lied to you yesterday because I actually had 3 rice cakes instead of my blueberries and pineapple, just because I'd run out of blueberries and pineapple, had my rice cakes there, couldn't easily get to the shops before going to the pub with my mates, so I just had those instead. Not quite a like for like in terms of the like micronutrition side of things. However, from a carb side of things, they're like a little bit of like a replacement. As mentioned in the last part of the video, I have woken up this morning and my weight is actually slightly elevated from where it was the last couple of days. So I think it was 64.85 kilos this morning. I actually didn't take a picture of it, but I checked in this morning, and what I also just feel like with myself is that my sort of like belly felt a little bit harder this morning. I think the increase in food over the last couple of days, I didn't really, I know this is probably a little bit too much information for some people, but like yesterday, I didn't properly go to the toilet like I sort of normally would. So it makes sense for weight to be elevated. That's also something that's really worth keeping in mind. Like if you know within yourself that you've not necessarily, say, been to the toilet as regularly as you would do, that's going to increase your weight. So there's no concerns or like whatsoever or anything with the weight being up. It's just a case that things do feel a little bit, I say my belly does feel like a little bit harder this morning. But it's good that it's happened this morning and not tomorrow morning. And what we are going to be doing today is we're actually easing off a little bit from the carb side of things. So the last couple of days have been about sort of loading and increasing those carbs to increase that fullness. And today it's more a case of course, we still want some fullness there tomorrow, and we still want to sort of like maintain the look of yesterday. But the main aim of the game is to make sure that we are getting rid of that excess water so that I'm like as vascular as possible. I still want to be nice and full, but also I don't want to be waking up and like my midsection is sort of like rubbish because I'm so bloated and everything. So with that being the aim of the game for today, the nutritional targets and the targets overall have also changed. So from a sort of like general point of view, the aim of the game is just to literally chill out. So my steps are only 6k today, so barely any. I've probably done a decent amount of that just from walking around the house today. And then from a nutritional point of view, we're reducing carbohydrates down ever so slightly, well, by a decent amount actually. 300 grams today, which still feels like a treat in comparison to where I was this time last week, but 300 grams worth of carbs today. I think it's 160 grams of protein and 40 or 50 grams of fat. Not 100% sure. I will actually have to check that to make sure, but I think they're like the rough targets. I eaten my overnight oats this morning. That was the first thing that I've had. And I now need to have my cream of rice because it's like it's like 25 minutes past 11. I need to have it now because I've still got 2 other meals to have later on today as well. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing as well. Like, that's one thing that I was thinking because I've got...
Like, their standard is like...
Apologies for the audio. I've not got the microphones on right now because they are actually upstairs, but just had to go and get some shorts from JD because with losing 15 kilos, none of the shorts that I have really fit me. These are literally actually swim shorts for the photo shoot tomorrow. And then it is also time for my next meal of the day. So I am having 2 boiled eggs over the course of the day. One for now, one for later. I've got to grab a thing of golden vegetable rice, some salad, and then I'm going to be halving out this portion and having half of this later and half of it now. Because whilst I don't feel too hungry right now, having had my cream of rice like sort of 2.5 hours ago, I don't want to be eating too late tonight. As mentioned, obviously tomorrow morning I don't want to be waking up and feeling bloated or anything. I want to make sure that I'm having my last meal, I would say by sort of like 6 o'clock. So this meal will be doing me for the next, say, like 4 hours or so. And then with this meal, I've also got to have 2 things of PeakMax, again, to sort of be helping flushing out some of this water. Good evening, guys. It is now time to start tanning. But before we get into that, the last time I spoke to you, I was just having my sort of like lunchtime meal. Since then, I've also gone and had my last meal of the day, which was pretty much the same as lunchtime, just with some broccoli in there instead. I had to have that whilst Esdog was having a lovely steak and sort of taunting me a little bit, really. And I've also had 100 grams of blueberries as well. What's the time right now, Esdog? And it's currently 7:11 at night, and as I say, I need to be getting tanned up. So this is one of my least favorite parts of the process. What we are going to be using is ultra dark Bondi sands. I know that this works for me because I've used it on previous shoots, and I just don't want to sort of risk using something different and then it completely messing up my tan. So we're going to be using that. But one thing that I have noticed with using the PeakMax, I've certainly been having to wee a lot more, and I'm also definitely looking veinier as well, as I will show you on here. Normally to like have this amount of veins, I would almost certainly need to have a pump, and I've got like no pump whatsoever, and I'm much veinier. So I'm actually very happy about that as well. Planning on waking up at like 7 tomorrow, and I'm going to start a new YouTube video for tomorrow, for taking you through obviously the shoot day side of things. So make sure you subscribe because that will be coming out in a few days time. If you've got any questions or anything like that, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I feel excited for tomorrow, but also a little bit nervous as well. As I mentioned in like a previous video, this photographer that I'm going with him again because like maybe 2.5, even maybe 3 years ago when I first started coaching, I was just very new to the industry. I went with him and the photos looked literally horrendous. I'll show you what they looked like on here. So it is a little bit of redemption for me. I look so much better than I did, but like almost of me is just sort of like, as I say, a little bit nervous for it. I just want to go and sort of like enjoy myself as much as possible and obviously enjoy the experience. But inevitably, it is a little bit like uncomfortable and I am feeling a little bit nervous for it. But we will see what it looks like tomorrow. And as I say, thank you for watching and see you in a bit.